Hello and welcome to September. If you're watching this on YouTube, my name is Manelli. This is just an introduction to the month of practices that I'm offering in the portal. And if you've watched any of my other videos, especially my recent ones, you'll know that the portal is my online studio, essentially of ancient practices like mindfulness and yoga and sacred cannabis ceremony that are used as tools for cultivating happiness and transformation and healing. And at the top of the month, I like to share a little bit of an overview of what our theme or North Star or anchor is going to be for the month, so that you get a better hand of how to navigate the portal so that it's the most useful for you. So that's what this video is today. And if you're watching this in the portal, welcome or welcome back. I have a few notes that I've written down, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. I have a lot written down and it's hard to remember everything at times, so I'm giving myself grace to not do that. But for the month of September, our theme is called Earthen Body. And September is a sort of a transitory month. It's a bridge between the vibrant and late summer and the very early beginnings of autumn or fall. Observing this really subtle shift in nature, or the beginnings of a shift, can prepare us for our own moments of transition as well, especially when we're preparing for new beginnings or just clearing space for something new to show up. Just as nature is preparing to do right now, we also can take the blooms and the things that have served us in the summer or a prior season that no longer are going to serve us going forward and transform that into wisdom and fertilizer, essentially preparing the ground for our future growth. And that's what this month is all about. We can transform our heaviness or our excess into wisdom or into the gift of nutrients and sustenance for our own growth. And this doesn't happen through endless thinking. It happens through actual practice, through living mindfully. In the wellness industry, living mindfully is labeled as self-help. And although that speaks to the fact that there's a lot of strenuous inner work that goes on in living mindfully, it leaves out the equally important part of looking out at the wider world. There's always something to be learned from observing nature. And this is why I like to typically link our practices and our themes in the portal with what's going on in nature, because nature, and specifically being in nature's embrace, keeps us grounded in the present moment. When you're in nature, you become really familiar with the sights and the sounds that belong to spring and summer and autumn and winter. And this is why for about 6 to 8 months of the year, you'll usually find me on the outskirts of town in some small cabin surrounded by dense forest or with a stream right outside my front door, because nature is a mirror to the self. The wider natural world opens a door to our inner worlds. So living in the city not only distances us from the sights and sounds and relationships of the natural world, but it also gives us a full sense of control and a really full sense of order. City landscapes inspire us to detach from ourselves and to attach to constant movement and year-round production, and always just needing to do something, while the rest of the natural world, which we often forget we are a part of, is wise enough to know that there are moments for reaching outwards, there's moments for action, and there's moments for resting and retreating. There's moments for growth, and there's moments for pruning back. All of nature is in a constant wave of expansion and contraction. Whereas us as human beings, we've become really obsessed with constant expansion, constant growth, constant action, which causes a lot of disharmony because we need balance. We need to balance our action with retreating and resting. Reconnecting to nature through our themes in the portal brings us back into really close contact with the always changing and uncontrollable states of our internal and external worlds, and brings these once dissonant parts of ourselves into harmony. Using the wider world in order to understand ourselves makes us better equipped to fall in love with life through the practice of Ishvara Pranidhana, or surrendering to the universe, where we can return to our true essence. And some people might use the word self-realization or liberation to describe returning to your true essence. And through this process, we're relieved of our self-imposed suffering that comes from chasing control and chasing order that ultimately keeps us separate from nature and from ourselves. So this month, Earthen Body, at its heart, is an invitation to accept and prepare for life's inevitable transitions, life's inevitable changes with grace. So you can transform any heaviness into wisdom. And the opening chapter of our month of Earthen Body begins with a daily practice that is in honor of stillness and finding the sacredness in pausing. When we take the time to pause, we can return to life with more presence and more receptivity. So let's just take a moment right now to just pause everything that you're doing. And since you're here, I'm going to assume that you're open to it. Putting down your phone if you happen to be texting or scrolling while listening to this video or this audio. Taking a moment to put down all things and just stop completely everything that you're doing. And find a seat, or lay down, or just stand where you are. Close down the eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. Take notice of any sensations going on in your body right now. Whether there's an urge to pull towards the task that you were doing before. Or whether there's a pull to fill the empty space with thoughts. Allow this space to remain empty and draw all of your awareness to your breath. Full belly breaths in and full breaths out. Paying attention to your breath. Invites your breath to slow down. Calming down your nervous system. by doing absolutely nothing. And a thread might pull at the strings of your mind to something seemingly more important, more urgent. But let this breath be the most important thing in the world, just for now. Slowly opening the eyes if they were closed and noticing any shifts within your body or your state of mind in that really short pause. There might be an urge to jump straight back into whatever it was you were doing before that moment of stillness. But I invite you to carry this energy that you've cultivated into this next moment. Just building this practice from there. This first week has a big emphasis on stillness in the Earthen Body because, of course, a lot of nature around us is sedentary, at least to the naked eye. Nothing moves. A tree doesn't start off in front of our home and then next week it's down the street. It's essentially sedentary. So our first week in the portal will be embracing our natural state of stillness, of non-action and non-doing. And outside of the portal, actually, if you're in Los Angeles, I'm going to be teaching an in-person class, my first in-person class in a full year on September 12th. And I'll link the event link in my description below if you want to find out more and maybe join. But it also has an emphasis on stillness, and the class is called Sacred Pause. So I hope that you can join us for that. I really am looking forward to that in-person practice. As for the portal, we're also going to be doing 2 live workshops. If you're not able to join for the live workshops, of course, as always, it's going to be uploaded to the portal right afterwards. But the first one is on September 7th. And this is going to be a class for nurturing your intuition in ways that make sense in the practical world and can be used every single day. And that's going alongside the full moon in Pisces. And the second workshop will be later on in the month on September 21st. And that is going on alongside the new moon in Virgo. And that's all about embracing the sweet side of uncertainty. So you can sign up for those already just to claim your space so that you can have the link to join on the day. Otherwise, like I said, the recording will be uploaded to the portal afterwards because a lot of us are not on the same time zone. So I don't expect you to join then, but I definitely will make sure that it's in the portal afterwards. So there's a lot of things to hold you throughout this month, and of course I will be there to support through email and through our new classes and through our podcast episodes. So I'll leave you with some questions, as I love to do, to sit with, and regardless of whether you're watching this in the portal or on YouTube, I would love to know your answers or whatever comes up in response to these questions. And if you're in the portal, you know that this is my favorite part of these little roundups for the month, because I love kind of figuring out where you are right now and then seeing how that shifts throughout the month. So the first question is, what is my relationship to change? When change is on the horizon, what thoughts arise in my mind? When change is on the horizon, what sensations present in my body? So you can sit with those questions, and really there's no need to seek out an immediate response. Already you can start practicing pausing before you respond to something, and you might even take a single puff of cannabis or maybe have a low dose edible tonight and sit with these questions and journal out whatever comes out, just to get pen to paper about this. Or you can even record a voice note to yourself, something that you can hold in your hands and revisit at the end of the month of our practices, so that you can see what subtle shifts or what great shifts have happened in these 30 days. And of course, our months are contained to 30 days, but you can continue to practice this, and I encourage you to practice this beyond that little chunk of time, because it's an entire lived practice, mindfulness. So I hope that these reflections and this entire little breakdown of the month has kind of got your spirit churning about our practices together. If you'll be joining us in the portal, let me know if you have any questions. Let me know your responses to those questions that I just asked. And I'm really looking forward to this month with you. See you next time.